follow the leadership in their command. And
yes, definitely. That's the best way to get the most effective way to get anything done over there is to get the officers on board. They respect the rank of their officers over there.
Is it hard sometimes getting the officers on board over there? Because I assume sometimes if the private doesn't necessarily believe in building the sandbag wall, maybe the officer might feel the same way. There's not.
No, it really depends. Like I was saying, that goes back to this relationship type thing. You want to build this relationship with them, and kind of when you befriend these officers and make them like you more, then they're more prone to agreeing with you. If they hate you and they don't like you and you're disrespectful to them, they're going to be like no, I disagree with you. I'm not even going to listen to your idea. But if you're giving them gifts, like I was saying, you're respecting their culture, you're making an effort to understand their way of life and everything, they'll give you the same respect back. They'll give an effort to understand why you're building that sandbag wall. They'll sit down and listen to you and talk to you. And some of them, like I was saying, they do have past military experience and understand why. And there are officers over at our station who have been in the old Iraqi army, or have been old police officers, and those are the guys who I try to go to, and because they understand more. But there are officers who don't have any past experience that I'm really friends with. They like me, and if I go to them with a problem, they don't feel like they have to fix it. They want to, because they want to help me, because of the whole relationship that I've built with them.
No, that's good insights, and that's kind of what we're looking for in the tapes. I guess my next question for you is, from what I understand, a lot of the in my mind, I assume most of the Iraqi police are fairly simple people. They had. I talked to one the other day, and he, I guess, went to grade school, and that was about it, and learned some stuff at home. But what's kind of the educational makeup of this 100+ Iraqis? I was kind of surprised to find out some of them apparently have fairly high educations and whatnot.
Some of them do actually have high educations, and that comes into a money thing. The richer side of the richer families can afford to send their kids through better schooling.
But they're still IPs, right?
But yes, there are. We have IPs who have actually been to college. They have college level training, and the basic, the average guy there, they have what they do a primary school and then a secondary school, which is the primary being your grade school, and the secondary being middle school, and then they have a high school and then college. A lot of them, majority of them, have just been through primary school. Some of them through no school. I'm not going to say a vast majority of them, but there are handfuls of them who can't even read and write.
Oh, really? I imagine that's quite a problem.
It is quite a problem. Not well, to do their job effectively as police officers, they will run into that. It will be quite a problem when they become more professionalized and they have to start documenting stuff. They have designated IPs over there as administration guys, who are the more educated ones, the guys who've been to college and who can read and write very well.
Okay, so are there most of the I hate to use the word, but those who have your lower forms of education, those are the guys that are kind of walking the beat, and the ones that have the college education, they're kind of working more the leadership positions. Because I understand.
You'd think there actually are a few of them who can't read and write that are in the leadership positions. They're altogether squared away guys, and they've shown the potential to be leaders, and they're really putting in the effort, and so we're training them up more to be leaders. Even though they can't read and write, they do have a lot of leadership skills in them, and just because they can't read and write doesn't mean that they don't have any common sense. But there are some of the lower educated guys who do have a lot of the leadership skills that we're training up, and we've actually tried to get programs together too. We started a reading and writing program. We hired teachers.
Who came up with that program?
This was Lieutenant Falk. He decided this. When we discovered there were IPs there that couldn't read and write, we're like, well, that's kind of messed up. We need to fix this. We went around to the schools there and tried to find some teachers, and there were actually Arabic teachers who would teach reading and writing, and we would hire them to come in and conduct classes to teach these guys who didn't know how to read and to write. to read. It was a major bust. They wouldn't put any effort to it. Like, we'd get the teachers there. There were very few guys that would show up. The guys who did show up one day wouldn't show up the next day, and it eventually fell through to where we just stopped doing it because we couldn't get the IPs in to do it.
Oh, really? So they were unreceptive to the idea. I mean, was it kind of shameful for them, or?
I think that was the biggest problem. They thought it was like a shameful thing. Like, they didn't want us to know they couldn't read and write. They thought maybe we might look down on them for it. That's the biggest thing I could think in my mind. So.
Okay. No, that's actually pretty good because that was my next question. So you kind of stumped me. This is kind of a tough question, but I understand that some of the IPs now were actually insurgents at one time.
I don't know if I'd call them insurgents. Like I said, there were two very different groups. You had the Al Qaeda, like the Al Qaeda in Iraq, who were the religious extremists. They were just like by the Quran, by like old Muslim law. Like they call themselves mujahideen, like I was saying. Like they only kill Americans. They won't kill anybody Arabic. But well, I wouldn't say that. They will kill Arabs if they are backing the Americans and following us. Just very extreme. Those are like your suicide bombers and people like that. People who give their lives for their God and for their cause. And then you have the other group, which were like the local guys, like the local gangs and the people who just didn't want Americans in their country.
Okay, and I don't. They didn't think of themselves as insurgents. I don't know if we covered.
They didn't think of themselves as insurgents. Like I was saying, they felt that like the Americans were invading their country, and like by their religion and by their law, they felt that like they had to defend themselves and their country. And a lot of these guys, like I was saying, had like their brothers or their cousins killed by Americans, and they felt that it was their duty to revenge them, I guess you could say. And that's what a lot of these local guys started up. And I wouldn't say they were really terrorists or insurgents. They just didn't want the Americans here, and they felt that they were protecting their country by fighting back.
Okay, so are some of the IPs, did they actually come forth and admit to being insurgents?
We've had some of them come forth and admit. That's not like my level type of stuff. It's higher level intel and stuff like that. But I know there are some of them who have sat down with like our intel officers and stuff, our intel officers and part of like our S2 groups, and have given them information about how they used to fight Americans and whatnot. But yes, there are. Have I met any of them? Yes, I do know some of them. They work at the station. I'm friends with them. I know them very well. And I do know like some of the activities that they were involved in the past. And like I was saying, that I wouldn't say it's a vast majority of them, but I know there's quite a few of them who were against Americans being here, just because of those reasons, like the type of tactics we used to use, like basically like pillaging, burning the village, like going in, raiding houses, kicking down doors, looking for terrorists, like just arresting guys because like there was a bomb outside of his house, like we didn't know if it was his. There was a chance it could be his, but and they were just like tired of it, and they just started to fight back.
Okay.
And like all the IPs, like I was saying, they're all local, like all around the city. We have these substations, like an IP station here, an IP station here, and everybody who lives in this area around that IP station are the IPs there. Everybody lives around that area. So we have IPs from everywhere out in the city, which, I mean, the locals were fighting us a few years ago, like in Ramadi 1. So like those same locals are now like the police that we're living with, and are now like fighting the terrorists together with the actual insurgents, the religious extremists.
Okay. If I assume some have made confessions to you, but have any actually told you any particular stories when they were actually?
No, none of them have ever told me any particular stories, and I've never really asked them about it.